There you go. Now it's time for us to review some of the stories making headway on our dailies this morning. And we have in the studio the editor, 21st Century Chronicle, Nuruddin Abdullah, to take a look at the papers this morning. But that will be quickly after this time out. Stay with us.
But in a situation where you find that a look at the
not necessarily tribal or regional.
but I have said that.
Thank you very much for staying with us. It's Daybreak on Trust Television. As we told you before that short breather, we have with us the editor of 21st Century Chronicle, Nuruddin Abdullah. You're welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Looking robust as ever. And as always, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
we
you.
start off with the Daily Trust as usual. And today on the cover of the Daily Trust, we have the special report, 8 years after 24 Chibok parents dead. 109 girls still in captivity. And the riders there we have, bring back our girls, seek reforms against kidnapping. 1,500 students adopted. Amnesty International, 11,536 schools closed. That is according to UNICEF. Malan Nuruddin, it's before we go to the other major headlines on the paper. You were part to, you have followed these incidents in the last 8 years, I believe, and all of the things that have transpired in the course of this kidnap. What would you say, 8 years down the line, that we have still not closed this chapter?
Yes, it's unfortunate history. Chibok became an international issue because that was the first time in the history of this country that some terrorists, will barge into a school, take away students in their hundreds, herded them into the forest. What we saw later was footages with some terrorist leader even saying that he has enslaved them and what have you. It drew international outreach, bring back our girls, you remember? Obama, Michelle Obama, international leaders and what have you. And significantly, that led to the failure of that government at that time, 2014. And the election of the present government. But when we thought that since the then government failed to secure a second term because of Chibok incident, and this government was brought purposely because of that government failure, we thought that maybe they will draw the curtain. But unfortunately, that's not the case. After Chibok, we had Depchi, remember? After Depchi, there were rescue, there were negotiations, and what have you. And the government came principally telling Nigerians that if they will bring these girls back to their parents. It was because they are girls in the hands of terrorists. So imagine, as a parent, maybe sometimes better to know that you are a child is dead, so that you close the chapter, than to be imagining what is happening. So, and later, what happened? We had Kankara. Even here, we had Bethel. We have Greenfield, So the issue, instead of making Depchi the last after Chibok, we had Kankara. Kankara is just a stone throw to the president's hometown of Daura in Katsina State. Same thing in Zamfara. Just, I think, 2 days before the Chibok and the bursary, we had in Zamfara a College of Health Technology. The terrorists barged in and took away girls as well. So it has become part of us. It has become a normal instead of being abnormal. Most of the newspapers, I think maybe minus Trust and some few others, bring back girls, there was a counter.
Right.
Most of them, they have removed the counter because, okay, which schools will you even put there? The schools are so many. So that's the problem. 8 years after, we are still stuck. In fact, the incidences are aggravating.
It appears we are just not stuck with the 109 girls who are still not in captivity. To know that as of today, we have over 11,000 schools that have been shut simply because the government is afraid that this incident could repeat itself and there are no plans. Just imagine 11,000 schools shut over 5 years. What does this mean for the development of children generally in this region?
Another thing you should consider about out of this number, I can tell you more than 80% are from one section of the country, the north in particular. Already, the region is battling truancy, to put it that way. The region, the states are still galvanizing efforts to make parents send their children to school, particularly the girl child. And now this is happening. You send your child to school, you don't know what will happen. And again, after Chibok, you remember the Safe School Initiative? I learned that the last time I heard of it, the National Assembly was holding public hearings over it. Where are the billions promised? So when an incident happens, what politicians mostly do is, they dramatize it before the media, and that's it. No concrete efforts have been taken to safeguard the schools. So with this now, check out the figures. What is the enrollment figure? How many girls are in school? My girl should be better under my bed than for me to send her to school to be taken away by one terrorist or one bandit. So that is the dilemma. So all the gains we have achieved in the past years, we are now returning to the status quo. That's what it means. 11,000 schools. Majority of them are in the north, the northwest in particular, some parts of the north central, and the northeast.
Well, already Nigeria has about 10,000 out-of-school children. We're already grappling, with that. With this
10 million.
number, over 10 million.
And it has been 10 million
children.
for more than 20 years. So
Interesting.
it means
what does this actually say, for our education system as a
So
nation?
what that simply tells you is the efforts are not commensurate with the problem. What is the budget? All these states that are educationally disadvantaged, what are their budgets for education? That is one. And secondly, that's why the figures are we are repeating the figure year in, year out. There is not even actual figure. With a population of about 260 million as of 2021, and we had 10 million out of school boys in particular, the Almajiri syndrome, in the last 10 years. So we keep on banding this figure simply because we don't even go and find out what is actually happening. With insurgency in the last 6 years of this administration, maybe after 8 years now after Chibok, go to the northeast. Already there is that stigma. People don't want to send their children to school, particularly the girls. And now terrorists are barging into their dormitories and taking them dead of the night. It was Borno Yobe. In the last years now we have the Northwest, Kaduna. In 2020, I remember, after the Kankara incident, we did a story. Within 4 months, more than 5,000 schools were closed. In Katsina, Zamfara, part of Sokoto, Jigawa, Kano, and now part of Kaduna. Add up the figures and say, and look at the consequence. That's why you must have more Almajiris on the streets, more girls hawking.
It's quite tragic.
It is quite tragic. I know you are also a frequent flyer. From my history with you of over a decade, how would you react to the story of airlines mulling ticket sales in dollars in Nigeria?
if you see there was an outrage, but don't forget that they are into business, Mr. Sunday.
But Naira is the legal tender in Nigeria. So if you want to
You
play
have
in
done
economy,
dozens of stories whereby they are finding it difficult to get this equivalent from our institutions, right?
yes.
So if that's the problem, why can't we just go this way?
If we go that way, don't you think it has grave implications for you and I, for instance, who don't earn money in dollars? That means all of us will have personal bureau de change consultants in our phone every day to carry out transactions. Would this not spill into other sectors of our economies? We'll start seeing schools of our words also asking for
No, already.
fees in dollars.
So I'm surprised that you are even concerned about this. How many people fly? Schools here in Nigeria, in Abuja, are charging in dollars. We have done the stories, not one, not twice. Yes. In Guarimpa here, there is a school that their tuition is in dollars. There are some universities, and they will, even some private universities here. If you are going to the embassy, for instance, because of your unreliable nature of your currency, they even have a fixed, if you go for a visa interview, you won't pay in dollar, but they know they have their rates. You know all this. So this is just another addition. Okay, maybe the airlines may say, okay, they may relocate. But Sunday, if you are going for all this here, IMF, World Bank, something now, before you know, you have to go to Ghana and connect. Yes,
Really?
that's the reality. So it's part of our problems. You know, all these things mean that things are not going the way they should be. Instead of crying about spilled milk, let's address the real issues. What is happening with our current in forex regime? There are so many types. The one for Mr. Sunday is different. The one for Malama Zainab is different. The one for people like us, we deal, you know, with the abokis, is different. Why? So that is the problem. So this is not the problem. We should find out why are they doing this. They are business people. Mark you, you are saying that you have signed so many executive orders, ease of doing business. Is there any ease of doing any business? You know, if they cannot, it's about profits. If they cannot break even, they'll back out. Now, people that all the VIPs that treat their ear infections in UK and America now, you know, you have to be connected from Ghana. Maybe that is it. Maybe at that time you will not complain.
Really very interesting. Let's take one more, before we move up to other, papers this morning. Council of State okays April 2023 full census. Is that a right time for us to conduct population census?
When I saw the story, yesterday, I was thinking, is it 2023 or 2024?
2023.
What? So I don't know. I don't know why
Would it be
the
too
hurry.
much for us to hold in an election?
Why can't this administration allow the next, whoever takes over, do that? It should have been the best. The Council of State can still approve so many things like they did. The pardoning of some convicted criminals, convicted politicians,
Their colleagues on the other side, is it?
So now, I don't know. There are so many things that they can approve since the council met. But
since the census is an activity that spans over a period of time, would it be wrong, especially given that we have been running deficits since 2016, would it be wrong to have the both of them in an election year?
Yes. Why before the transition? Why not after? Why the hurry? There will be change of government by May 2029, next year. Why can't you allow it, maybe allow the man to settle, then you take it maybe September, October, November.
But government, they will tell you it's a continuum.
So, I don't know. Do you know, 2023 will be a very difficult year because there will be elections. I don't know what will happen. After the elections, the election is holding when?
In February?
February, March. Is March enough to finish all the curfews that will be imposed in some places? It's usual. Have they repented that they will not steal ballot boxes? Look at what happened yesterday in Imo. They killed gunmen, as usual, unknown gunmen. Shot down. You saw the video footage. So you mean that by next year, all the politicians will repent? They will disarm their talks. When they lose the election, they will say it is an act of God. No, you need that much before the transition, to settle all these things, to rebuild most of the infrastructures that they will destroy. But when I say March, there is not even, it's even tentative. March, April, that confusion. Allow it. Allow the president to finish election, hand over, retire to his home. Then the next man will take it over. You can do it the same year, but certainly not before the transition. I don't know why the hurry.
Maybe because this time around it's going to be digital. There's been some kind of reformation to the way
Has it been
it's
tested?
going to be conducted.
I'm sure they will run a pilot before then. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Good.
Really very interesting. Now let's take a look at some more stories on other papers this morning. On the Nation newspaper, the story about experts, economy will sink further with 4 trillion naira subsidy. And then the story that is almost on all of the papers this morning, the one about Council of State OK's pardon for Darie Nyame, 157 others. Could you just comment on that?
So, like I said, I don't know. They say it with the pardon for Reverend Joel Nyame, who is serving jail time for stealing 2 billion from Taraba State Corpus. It's all age. How old is he? And that of Darie, they say that the guy is sick out of him. So I don't want to look maybe wicked or insensitive, but the pardon doesn't send good signal to the anti-corruption efforts of the administration. These people have stolen public funds. It took more than 16 years to bring them to justice. They spent less than 5 years in prison, and you are pardoning them, presidential pardon. Which signal are you sending to the current occupants of office? So what they can steal all the billions, manipulate the judicial system, which is very sluggish. Even if they are convicted by their conviction was affirmed by the apex court in their own case, you just go there. Your friends are in power. You spend 2 years in Kuje, in between Kuje and National Hospital. Then you will get presidential pardon. So what are we saying?
We move on to the next story, the last before we move on. Is the story from Zamfara State on the cover of Leadership, which says Zamfara government arranged 2 emirs over banditry. I was beginning to wonder, the bandits seem to be recruiting from everywhere. What does this suggest to you?
So the case with traditional rulers, it's all about leadership recruitment. These people were, maybe they have some royal lineages, but they are just imposed on the people because of their political connection. That's simply it is. And I don't know why only 2 have been arraigned, and I am afraid that it doesn't have political intonation. The royal fathers, are now have been, the institution has been politicized. When Matteo's administration came in the last 3 years, there was a committee headed by former IG, MD Abubakar. In their report that we all read, they recommended prosecution and removal of about 13 district heads, about, was it 4 or 6 emirs? Zamfara, every local government in Zamfara have first class or second class emir in every local government. So there are many. Prosecution of about 4 or 5 of them. Nothing happened because of political reasons. Some were removed. Some even went to court. They said their removal has nothing to do with banditry. Rather, they are perceived to be in the other political camp, maybe with the former government. So we hope that they are doing the right thing by not just cherry picking. Cherry picking, which aim here to prosecute, which aim here to remove, mostly because of political reasons. Because of the politicians can do anything for politics.
Amazing. Amazing. This is the point where we would call it a wrap on the newspaper review. Malem Nuruddin, thank you very much for finding time to be here with us. Mubarak, Jumat Mubarak to you. It's also a Good Friday. We hope you have a delightful weekend ahead of you. Once again, thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Yeah, almost welcome.
We would take a short breather. When we return, we will have our discussants ready to look deeper into the stories on the cover of the Daily Trust today as it borders on the Chibok guests. Please stay with us.